Very well said. Thank you for saying that. We're going to go to some questions from various other places. I'm going to make a shameless plug at this point for Green is Universal. I just want to say if you want more information on some green production 1.01 and a little bit of 2.01, the Green is Universal website, www.greenisuniversal.com/guide, has these handy green production guides for film and television that are up there. They give you ideas department by department on things you can do to green your production if you just need a place to get started. And then the PGA Green website has even more information and a green vendor guide coming soon. We also did, I gotta hand it to the folks at Green is Universal. They've done this year a sustainable sourcing guide, which I think all the studios ultimately will have, which is basically it's a guidebook for corporate sourcing departments. So, you know, how to judge how you buy your coffee and how you buy your furniture and how you buy your carpeting to make sure you're getting something that's non-toxic. And there's an employee green guide to come, and there's all kinds of stuff. So finally, this stuff is getting out and about, and I think this conversation is growing. But I'm going to go to Dana, who knows where the first question is going to come from.
We do. We have a question. First of all, what everyone should know is we're being tweeted about. There's no feed.
Tweeted.
Twitter feed. We're being tweeted on Twitter. It's kind of fun. We're talking about the Law and Order producers. So if anyone has a Twitter account in the house, it's kind of fun to join in. It is kind of cool. Sarah from LA does have a question. She wants to know if each of you could speak to your crews and how your crews are responding to your telling them to go green.
Oh yeah, well actually we heard a little bit from Tom about that, but I'd love to hear some more. You say your guys are always cool with everything, but what do your crews really think? Are they green? Does it vary with age? What's the...
I mean, old habits are hard to die. so you know, I think that given parameters of how you want the workplace to run, they'll try to follow for the most part. They're not going to be 100%. You know, you know, they're Teamsters. So you can tell them, and you know, sometimes you got to tell them again.
They're sort of green Teamsters, though, it sounds like.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the job is meeting a truck, a biodiesel truck, they'll meet it and then make sure the job gets done. But if you know, I'm not going to say no, none of them are ever going to litter the street or anything. I mean, there's certain things that they have habits. Everybody has habits, and you know. But I think they do try it. That they're interested in the environment. They're interested in having a clean workplace.
Great, Mary Jo.
I think with crews, I think the important thing on a production is to communicate and educate, and to do that early on in the process, and to also share with your crew, you know, what your sustainability goals are. And I found in my experience, when I will on every movie, every person that's hired, I will sit down and talk to them about sustainability, about what I envision for the film. And it may take a little extra time, but it's worth it to me for everybody to understand how the production's going to run and to get them on board. And I've had, the earlier you do it, the better. You know, I've had experiences where, you know, whether it was lack of prep or last minute, where people feel an overwhelm if they're in the middle of trying to get something done and you're telling them that they have to do it a certain way. So my advice to everyone is to you know, talk to your crew, communicate, educate them why you're doing it, share the statistics of why it's important to do it. And I think that as producers, I think it's our job to inspire and lead by example. And you know, that's my, you know, some of my most joyous moments have been when a crew member will come up to me and say, you know, I can't believe everything we're doing on this film. We're doing so much. I'm not even doing this at home. And people have come up to me and thanked me for finally really recycling cans. Really, you know, and you know, and I've had the story, you know, those wonderful stories of, hey, you know, we never had water bottles in the, you know, we were lucky if we had you know, any water at all on the set. So, you know, it's, you know, I think water has become, you know, water bottles started to become an accessory, and thankfully I think that trend has disappeared, and I just think it's all about communication education and early on. And setting, and really, it helps to have studio mandates, that's great, but I do think it's our job to inspire.
The crews I've been working with over the last 3 to 4 years, both on my crew, my core crew, and we usually end up working with, usually work a gaffer and a key grip usually work in tandem. They go from job to job, and the grips, their crews have been completely on board with this whole move towards greening production, especially the younger members of our local, and a lot of my crew are young with they have new families, so how the world is going to proceed and what the environment's going to be for their children and their grandchildren is very much on their mind. So they think about it a lot. Now, when you have extra people come on a job, just day players, sometimes the nature of film is that you're a family, and sometimes they might not feel part of that family, so they're not as conscious of what's being done to keep that production green. And I think you just need to explain what's happening, what's going on, and the goals that you're trying to meet, and they will come on board. I don't think they're against it. Sometimes it's just like, you can feel like an outsider coming in on a film, you can feel, and they're not proactive. And I think all people need to be proactive on a set in seeing how they can make the production better in everything. Like when Damien says somebody throws a can, where it should be in a recycling bin, they throw it in the garbage. Everybody should be on board to say, recycling's here, this is compost, and it's not a criticism, it's just enlightening somebody of what's going on around them.
Right.
And sometimes the fast pace of a set, people lose sight of the larger goals. Like from the time I was an electrician when I first started, clothespins just thrown around on a set and left just to go into the biosphere somewhere was always a problem for me, because I always knew those are trees, they can be reused, why aren't we picking them up, why aren't we just reusing them? And but sometimes the fast pace of what's happening on set, like with black wrap and clothespins, they get thrown to the side. People don't think about it. And but now I think that's very much becoming part of their consciousness, and I don't think people object to it. It just sometimes you need to be reminded of the bigger picture. But I think for the most part, people are very receptive of what's going on.
It seems like the key is to communicate. I'll just say, for my part, I'm a documentary producer for television, and our crews are generally 6 people big. So but let me just say that whether your crew is 6 people or 120, as Mary Jo says, you got to start early. And what we do is we start on day 1 at the point of distribution of the water bottles. Everybody gets a water bottle, we say, hey, we're running a green production, and that's the end of it, and everybody knows. And there's only so much you can do. My last film we shot in Indonesia and Cambodia, as Mary Jo said, you can't run a hybrid. It's just not gonna happen. But we pick up our garbage and we keep it in our bags and we take it back to the hotel room at night. We just try not to make too big a mess. And yeah, we're filling our bottles from plastic water bottles in the hotel sometimes. It isn't perfect, but we're also sending a message. And we're sending a message when we get back home. And the shooting days that we do when we come back to New York, we're sending a message. So just communicate.